Hey, my name is Matt, and this is the Woodworking Nook. Today, I'm going to be taking you through my whole shop, all the nooks and crannies, and showing you what I've done and how I'm able to keep my shop so small. Now, there can be countless reasons as to why you have a small shop. The space here, I am in my garage, and we have a tandem garage. So it's 2 cars deep as opposed to 2 cars wide. So that makes it a little bit difficult because we do have 1 car parked in the garage and we need to be able to pass through to get into the house. The space does measure out to 56 square feet, about 7 feet this way. I mean, some of that I use and some of it I don't, and then 8 feet this way. And I felt that was the smallest I kind of wanted to go because I wanted to be able to break down a full sheet of plywood on this table. That's mainly what I use these guys for, to support a full sheet of plywood. With such a small space, utilizing a table saw and a miter saw was not in the cards for me. I needed a different solution to be able to make quick and accurate cuts so that I could build quality furniture with economical tools. So this is why I opted to use the track saw with a guide rail hinge so that I can make quick and accurate cuts on the workbench and be able to store this away easily and build my projects right on the bench as well. Some other reasons why I didn't want to go with a table saw is because one, they're more expensive. You can get the contractor saws, but those are pretty loud to operate. You also need a decent dust collection system, and since I'm so deep in a garage, I wasn't able to leave my garage door open, so I needed something really strong and powerful so that it wouldn't get super dusty back here. So that's why I opted for the track saw. I was able to use a shop vac to be able to pull that dust out really quickly. I've been able to make pretty much everything I've wanted to in this shop. There are some creative aspects that you have to get by. Small repeatable cuts are a pain in the butt, but as long as you create a jig for it, you can get by with that. So the main pieces of the workshop is we have the pegboard, we have the boom arm up top here, we have the actual workbench with the workbench top and the dog holes to help with alignment. We have this section over here, which is just kind of, it's a pegboard, but I do my drill charging there. We have my drawers down here. And then underneath here, we have my shop vac, dust separator, different jigs, a compressor for my air tools, a drill press, and various other knick-knacky things that I don't use as much. But we'll get into all this in a little bit. All right, so we'll start off with my workbench. My workbench is made out of 2x4s and an MDF top. The 2x4s, as you can see, I've had over the years, and I've just kind of remade this workbench, and it works. I actually really like using 2x4s for a workbench because, one, they're cheap and you don't really care about them, so you can add things that you want to the workbench and you can remove it. You can kind of do whatever you want to do with it. Obviously, a 2x4 is not super straight, so making these drawers that fit here was a big pain, but you just kind of have to make each drawer slightly different. Again, you're not making drawers a lot for this kind of workbench, so I just took the time and built them each slightly different so that they would fit in that gap. And then the workbench top is a single piece of MDF that was finished with a hard wax oil. It was actually my first time finishing a workbench top. All of my other tops I've never put finish on and come to regret it later on. I put a hard wax oil finish on this. I don't super recommend it because it kind of got expensive after a while. I might try boiled linseed oil next time to see how that works out. And then behind the workbench, the reason that it's off the wall so much is mainly due to the track saw hinge. It needs to be able to clear the back of the track saw when folding it down. But it has created more storage behind the workbench where I store random 2x4s that I have and that rigid foam I use to help break down plywood so I don't mess up the top of my workbench. On the back of the workbench, I actually have a 20 amp power strip that I plug into a 20 amp wall outlet. This allows me to run the track saw easily and not have anything trip. On the side of my workbench, I have all my clamps, my pens, and other batteries, my battery charger, my brad nailer. I do have an air filter that I have above. I run it occasionally. I don't use it that often though. I used to use it a lot more when I was using a table saw. And then coming around, this is just a piece of outdoor carpet that I hung up so that everything looks a little bit nicer in here. If you've noticed in most of my videos, I'm usually wearing jeans and a black shirt. Today, I'm wearing a black shirt with an emblem on it. These shirts are available for sale on my Etsy store. There are a lino cut of different power tools that you may see in the shop. So be sure to check them out. Alright, so on the wall of my workshop, I have pegboard. And I recently made a video as to why I went with pegboard. Mainly because I wanted to keep everything really tight and close together. Since this is a very small shop, I needed to be able to utilize every inch of the wall. I used to have a French cleat system, which it is a great system, but for my purposes, I felt like the pegboard was going to better serve my needs. And I just noticed I don't have any paper towels. Someone must have taken them. So as far as tools go, I have my router, my biscuit joiner, my palm router, belt sander, reciprocating saw, my track saw clamps, track saw guide rail, and extra track saw guide rail with the TSO guide rail clamps to keep them super straight. I have various power tools, 2 drills, 1 impact driver, a flashlight, an orbital sander, a blower, angle grinder, and all my small tools. I briefly mentioned them before, but I have these supports that go on the edge of my workbench so that I can fully support a full-size sheet of plywood. And then above my workbench, I do have the boom arm, which can extend to the whole workshop, allowing me to cut out here if I have a full-size sheet of plywood. On the boom arm, I do have an outlet that runs up and connects to this vacuum delay switch, which turns on my shop vac automatically. Diving a little bit more into the track saw hinge. This track saw hinge I actually found on Etsy, and my brother 3D printed it for me, and it's been working great. It's significantly cheaper than any of the ones that you can buy online. However, we'll see how the quality goes. Since it is 3D printed and it's plastic, it can only last so long. So we'll see, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. These dog holes are also added so that when using the track saw hinge, I can have everything squared up pretty easily. You just insert those there. Take your piece of plywood. And then you can have that 90-degree cut. Alright, so underneath the left side of the workbench, we have a total of 10 drawers, all of them filled with various items for the workshop. In my drawers, I have these organizers that I got from Alexander Chappell on his website. I was able to 3D print these out and easily organize my drawers. I highly recommend these as they really utilize every inch of your drawers. On the left side, I have drill bits and Forstner bits and any kind of bit that you use to drill into something. On the right side, I have all different types of screws that you could use. Down one more level, we have on the left side my chisels and sanding stuff. And in the back, I have my hot glue gun and staple gun. I'm wanting to rearrange this drawer a little bit more because all my sandpaper is pretty messy. On the right side, I have a junk drawer of sorts of small pieces of hardwood or just small pieces of wood, these come in handy for random reasons. The next layer of drawers below, I have a bunch of small piece parts from random projects. This really is utilized in the home more than it is in the woodshop. These used to be big organizers that I had, but I wanted to fit them in the drawers, so I actually cut them just slightly off so that they would fit together in there. That way I have nice organization within the drawer. And then on the right side, I have some miscellaneous jigs and some sandpaper. This one, again, I'm wanting to go through to get a little bit more organized. And then down another level is more hardware. These are usually bigger pieces of hardware that I use in my shop. And then on the right side is actually my daughter's workbench. I added a top to the drawer so that she could have a surface to put things on. I also drilled out dowel holes so that she could hammer in dowels into that spot. And then down on the final drawer, these are a little bit bigger so that they can hold a little bit more stuff. Again, these are more junk drawer-esque style drawers. There's a lot more finishing equipment in the bottom left-hand drawer. And then on the right side, we have some more power tools and some glue and other various woodworking items. All right, underneath this main compartment, we have this front, which is actually my old workbench top. I just added it here to kind of keep a little bit of cohesiveness. There's no fancy way of removing this. You just pull it off. As you can tell, old workbench top. Underneath the right side of the workbench, we have my drill press, which I actually use quite frequently, more than I thought I would. We have the Home Depot bucket dust separator, along with a rigid shop vac. My rigid shop vac, I actually have a dust bag and a HEPA filter. Whether that actually does anything with a rigid shop vac, I don't know, but makes me feel better. And then also in the way back, we have the air compressor for my nail gun. I have debated on whether or not to keep the air compressor for my nail gun or if I should just cut my losses and get a battery operated nail gun. Let me know in the comments below if you use an air compressor nail gun or if you have a battery operated. And then in front of the air compressor, I have various jigs that I use with my track saw to help me make small or large repeatable cuts. And then on the front of the workbench, I have a woodworker's vise to help clamp when I'm using the biscuit joiner and other various times. I don't use it a ton, but it does come in handy when I need it. And that pretty much does it for the Woodworking Nook tour. Be sure to check out my Etsy shop to pick up one of these cool t-shirts, and I will see you all on the next video.